Thank you, Klaus. And as I say, they'll all be here, and they'll be here this afternoon to talk about specific issues as well. And now we have Christophe Beaudouin, and he also works for the Endem Group. Introduce yourself, please.
Yes, thank you, Kathy. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Good morning. And first, thank to Kathy Sinnott, for whom I have the pleasure to work at the European Parliament in the Indian Group, and also with Jens-Peter Bonde. And thanks to you to spend a few hours here to take care of your future, because this is the deal today. Imagine a system under which a non-elected body is itself in a position to extend the limits of its power. Imagine that each extension process is irreversible. Imagine that the laws enacted by this central, huge, non-elected power gradually replace all your previous laws. Imagine that this terrific process is underpinned by intense propaganda to the effect that it is for your own good and in the name of peace. Welcome to the European Union. Some symbols of the European Constitution rejected by the French and the Dutch people disappeared, but the base remains, as Jens-Peter told you just before. Even Valéry Giscard d'Estaing, I can say this name without English accent, even Valéry Giscard d'Estaing congratulated himself that 98% of his constitution had been rescued in this Lisbon Treaty. Just a little story about this point. Yesterday I was having a drink, and by random I met a lawyer from the European Commission. She didn't know where I was working, and just to have fun I proposed her to read these notes I had in my pocket to check if it was okay, if the content was credible and fair. And she started to read, and at this point, when I wrote that even Valéry Giscard d'Estaing was happy to see his text rescued, she told me, but if you say that, Irish will probably be afraid and they will vote no. I said, I don't know, but is the content of what you are reading is correct? Of my notes is correct? And she answered, yes, but sometimes it's better not to say the truth to people. Really? Yesterday in Brussels. So even Valéry Giscard d'Estaing is agree with us on this aspect. So with the question asked in the Irish referendum, the questions you'll have to answer are the following. Will you allow a supranational law made by bureaucrats in Brussels to override your national law made by your parliament, including constitutional law? Will you allow the limitless extension of qualified majority vote without any right of appeal or of opposition from any people? Will you accept that EU will never say we, as now, we the member state, but I, instead of the member states, thanks to the legal personality, thanks to the ability to sign international agreements in many areas, to raise taxes, to have its own Minister for Foreign Affairs with another name, High Representative, its diplomatic services, its common defense in the framework of the NATO, and sit down at the nation's place in the UN. Will you allow the European Court of Justice to become your new Supreme Court and overturn, it can be, the definition of your laws and your freedoms, from family law, right of life, for instance, such as they have been built up over the centuries by your parliament and by your national courts of law? Do you want Ireland submitted to civil servants, judges and bankers of Brussels, Luxembourg and Frankfurt? So, after France and the Netherlands, you'll have the opportunity to be the third people who, in Europe, refuses the dilution of political willpower that is handing us over to world forces and breaking one by one our vital links. You'll have the opportunity to say that you are the third people who in Europe is defending its sovereignty, without which democracy has never and can never be. Then if you were the third people to say no to this treaty, the Irish three-leaf clover would become, for all the European people which won't have the chance to vote, the symbol of democracies which don't accept to die. Thank you.
Ask questions. Again, on the treaty, we will be going to specific issues this afternoon. So this is on the treaty in general, on the administrative structures it sets up, etc. But before you start, I just want to say a question that I know the answer to, but I would like to put to them. What we are being told constantly is that this is just a tidying up. It's just, because we've become so big, that Europe has become so big that we need this treaty so we don't get bogged down. So maybe Jens Peter or someone would just like to answer that question, because when I was reading through the unreadable and I was plowing through it, and literally it's so out of context, it's very hard. But what impressed me is that so many of the amendments were to delete the word community to put in the word union. And that I suppose the first and most basic fact that everyone needs to know is that the treaty ends the existing European Union. The existing European Union. So if you have any reason that you feel that, I think there are many good things about the existing European Union. I think it's in bad need of reform. But that actually comes to an end. And that's why the word community is removed in so many places in the treaty. And what it sets up is a new European Union. And this is an undeniable fact that I think you need to know. So it's a new union we're voting for. So maybe I'll pass this on. Just my question, is this really just a tidying up exercise? And then I'll let you ask questions. Okay? And would one of you answer that, and I'll take a microphone around. And we will then stop at one and feed you, because I find this very hungry work myself.
No, I'm saying this is a different treaty. All the other treaties, they can be explained as tidying up treaties. You find some problems, you find some areas where someone wants some more EU competence, then you add some new areas to the European Union. Then you add some integration with qualified majority votes in areas where you previously had unanimity. And this tidying up procedure has been the general one in Amsterdam, in Maastricht, in Nice. This time it's different, because in Article 1 it abolished the existing communities, as Cassie said, and established a new unit, which is called the Union. The Union, that's a new name, established by Article 1. Then it takes over, in this new international unit, it takes over the existing legislation and the existing verdicts, but it scrapped the Luxembourg Compromise, where you had the veto right in the old communities. This Luxembourg Compromise, it's not set, but it disappeared.